New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
New Thought Media Network proudly presents On Purpose with Reverend Beth Linguri. Wednesdays at 7 a.m. Mountain Time, 3 p.m. Central European Time. Come find purpose, nurture growth, and live your passion. And now On Purpose with Reverend Beth Linguri.
Welcome, everyone. So good to be back with you this week. Welcome to On Purpose. This is a weekly broadcast supporting each one of you on your life journey, this journey that we live together. And as you live this in alignment with your divine purpose, it unfolds in synchronicity, in harmony, beauty, and peace. Our source for this broadcast, for this time together, is the beautiful book by Ernest Holmes called This Thing Called You. So I invite you now to enter into this sanctuary, the sanctuary of this moment now. Simply become still and connect with the wisdom of your heart. If you choose, you may close your eyes or slightly lower the lids as you surrender to this moment and release any thinking activity, any planning, judging, worrying. Just let them all go and move your awareness down into your heart space. I invite you to breathe into that center of your being, just below the sternum there. This is the location of your soul, of your deeper truth, your deeper knowing. So breathe into that space now, and not acknowledging its presence. And at the same time, become aware of your body in space, your seat, your legs firmly on the ground, connecting with the earth, your spine erect, and your head pointed towards the sky above. Just take a few deep breaths here. Now become aware of the sounds around you. And as you do, move into a deeper sense, into a deeper stillness, this inner stillness. And in this space of openness or awareness, allow yourself to listen now to the words of Ernest Holmes in chapter 15. There is a truth that can set you free, free from fear, want, unhappiness. And this truth is already within you. Nothing can be more wonderful than this. It's what you're looking for, but perhaps you hardly dared to believe. So no matter what the negations of yesterday may have been, your affirmations of today rise triumphant over them. He writes, this is the highest hope that has ever been placed before the vision of man's search for something that can make him whole. Cease weeping over yesterday's mistakes and walk in the light. Walk in the light where there is no darkness. Yesterday is no longer here. Tomorrow has not yet arrived. Today is God's day. Today is my day. Today, bright with hope and filled with promise, is mine. Today, my heart is without fear. Consciously, I draw close to my divine center, the source of all that is. I feel the warmth of its presence. I am free to be me. I am free to be me. This is the freedom that we all seek. This is the freedom that is the birthright of every individual. And so I invite you into this time together to consider and to reflect, to contemplate, and to come closer to a real belief and understanding that today is your day. So some years ago, I started the Center for Peace in Geneva in Switzerland. And as I was preparing for this major event in my life, I was reflecting on the theme for the conference, and I wanted something about peace, this idea of inner peace as a pathway to world peace, because that's truly true. That's surely true. And I know that all of us are disturbed by the areas of the world where there is this illusion that there is no peace. So I was busily in my office preparing and reached up to get a book, and this magazine literally fell off the bookshelf onto my desk. And it was a magazine, and it said, "Inner peace is the pathway to world peace." Synchronicity. You ask the question, the answer appears. So I looked more closely, and on the figure on the cover of the magazine was that of William Ury. William Ury is an American who studied at Harvard and then went on to become one of the most notable figures in conflict resolution, conflict negotiation in recent times. And if you look at his history and his biography, he has been involved in all of the major conflict negotiations that our recent presidents have engaged in, especially Jimmy Carter and others during this time. And in this, he had just published a new book, by the way, and I wanted to share that with you today. And the title of this book is Possible. Possible, one single word. And that's the title of our broadcast today. And he recounts that as a student at Harvard, he was writing a term paper on peace or negotiations or some such thing. And he asked himself the following question. If he were in a room in the UN, for example, where there were peace negotiations going on, how could he observe if the negotiations were going well or poorly? If he could just be an observer on the wall, he wasn't involved. So he started to think about this, and he said, well, if the talks were going poorly, the parties would be blaming each other. They'd be focusing on past mistakes, what was wrong. But if things were going well, they would be focused on the present. And instead of what was wrong, they would be considering what could be done to solve the problem jointly. This led him into his next stage, his paper that he wrote, which was picked up by one of the professors. And he was invited to work with this professor and then eventually invited by presidents to go and resolve conflict in areas where there was so much conflict going on. And he was extremely successful. Don't have time to go into all the stories, but you might want to pick up the book, Possible, because it's a great story. But this is a human reaction. We tend to see what we desire to be or what we hope to be come as impossible. Can't do that. A few years ago, as I was preparing to enter into my ministry, I was privileged to hear a talk by Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith. And during the talk, he challenged us. He said, to go away today, go to your rooms, take out your journals, and list 25 impossible things. So I accepted the challenge and I went away and I listed all of the things that at that moment, I really hoped to evolve in my life. But at that moment, I didn't see how it could possibly happen. They seemed to be impossible. I made an extensive list. One of the items on the list was this, that I would complete my graduate degree in ministry and in metaphysics, and that I would begin a work in Geneva, a center for peace. And this happened, and it continues today. Everything on that list, that was only one list. Everything that I saw as impossible at that time has evolved and has happened. Ernest Holmes writes, yesterday is no longer here. Tomorrow has not yet arrived. Today is God's day. Today is my day. Today, bright with hope and filled with promise, is mine. Today, my heart is without fear. I challenge you, I challenge each of you to do the same. List what seems impossible in your life. Take your journal this evening as you have prepare for the evening and reflect and write it down. And you will be very surprised, as I was at that moment, what you are holding in consciousness below the surface in your everyday thinking, believing that it's impossible. When we believe, that's what unfolds. Margaret Mead wrote, and this is a quote from the opening of William Urey's book, Impossible. We are continually faced with great opportunities, brilliantly disguised as insolvable problems. We are continually faced with great opportunities, brilliantly disguised as insolvable problems. How true is that? So no matter what the negations of yesterday may have been, no matter what has happened in the past, no matter what experience has been a traumatic part of your life, your affirmations today rise triumphant over them. However, they need to be visible. They need to be brought into awareness. And this is the practice that I'm suggesting we all engage in today. Yesterday is no longer here. Tomorrow has not yet arrived. Today is my day. Today is your day. Today, bright with hope, filled with promise, is mine, is yours. Today, my heart, your heart, is without fear. And so we turn resolutely to the divine source, that soul, that knowing deep within, which knows no confusion, that spiritual center, that source of all that is. Just allow yourself right now to feel the presence, feel the warmth of its presence. Through quiet contemplation of spirit, of this omni-action, we can learn to look quietly and calmly on every false condition, and see through it to the other side of the invisible reality. And this invisible reality holds the conditions and can recreate all of your affairs after the divine pattern for your life, which exists. Through quiet contemplation of spirit's omni-action, contemplation. I love this idea of contemplation. And there was a recent article by Richard Rohr in his recent blog about this idea of contemplation. And he says, true thought is not the brain's affair. But we have, in part by the brain itself, we've been so trained to associate our brains with what we think and who we are, that we have lost the ability to realize that we are at all times so much more. Right now, in this moment, every moment, we are much more than our physical brain or our physical body. Is it any wonder that so many people are excited to learn about the contemplative mind? This is why we dare to say that it really is the change that changes everything. Contemplation gives us this access to our birthright, our divine purpose waiting within us. You are necessary to the divine. You are here to express your individuality, your beingness. And these divine ideas, which seem impossible to our linear, deductive thought mind, these divine ideas are the purpose for our life. It might be hard to verbalize, but it's often experienced as a moment of insight, a hunch, a spontaneous gift of compassionate clarity. It will never be angry or upset or violent. It will only be a clarity of love. So I'm inviting you today. Allow this to be the voice that you listen to and follow. And though it may seem impossible, it is the divine plan for your life. Surrender to this and allow it to expand and manifest in your life magnificently. Today, my heart is without fear. Today, your heart is without fear. Consciously, I draw close to my divine center, the source of all that is. I feel the warmth of its presence, and I am free to be me. The centering practice that I invite you into each week is the pathway to the contemplative life. And as we realize and accept our divinity, this internal soul within, we can follow our divine hunches, that whisper that's speaking within us. Do this, go there, do that. Doesn't make sense. It may seem impossible. But when we write it down and we surround it with affirmation, with the positive, and we set out on the path, divine harmony unfolds and everything conspires to allow it to be that which happens in our life. So for those of you who are with us for the first time, our centering practice is something that we do each week. It's a 3-part practice, well, 4 parts actually, but 3 parts, and then record it in your journal. And so the first part of the centering practice is to have an intention. And the intention I invite you to have each time is to live, I intend to live more entirely from my inner knowing. I have the intention to live more entirely from my inner knowing rather than my outer thinking brain activity. And when you do so, you bring your heart and brain into this coherence. The second part is to consult your intuition. Find a time to be alone. Go within to this sacred center of your being. Visualize it, feel it, be there with it. And then the third part is to engage your imagination. So when you receive these messages, when you receive this intuition, take it right away and imagine it. Be that what you imagine in your life. Take time each day. Start with as little as 10 minutes. Do this when it suits you, early in the morning before the day starts, or later in the evening, just before you close down for the day as you do your gratitude practice. You might even ask the visioning questions as you go into this quiet time. In your intention, you might ask, what is the highest idea for my life? And allow that to be revealed to you. What do I need to release? What do I need to embrace? Is there anything else I need to know? Ask the questions of that inner guide, that inner voice, and allow the answers to come. And as I said, there is this fourth step that I encourage you to take on board, and that is to record your insights right away in your journal. And then read it every day and imagine it unfolding according to the divine plan. And if you have this journal with your 25 or 10 or however many impossible things that you came up with, you can turn them into affirmations and see them as possible. They are possible if you imagine them as so. There is great power there. I want to share with you today the lyrics of a song I heard at just an amazing retreat with 4 beautiful women who stirred my soul in such an amazing way. And so I dedicate this session of Possible to Amy Webster, to Nadej, to Sophie, and Marie. The song is actually written by Libby Roderick, but it was sung by Shana Knoll. And I encourage you to see if you can find it on YouTube and listen to it, because it's so beautiful. Allow it to penetrate into you. Just allow it to fill you with its beauty and its passion and its love. It is such a beautiful song. So these are the lyrics to the song. How could anyone ever tell you that you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you that you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you are connected to my soul. How could anyone ever tell you that you were anything less than beautiful? How could anyone ever tell you that you were less than whole? How could anyone fail to notice that your loving is a miracle? How deeply you are connected to my soul. And so as we go through our day, as we begin to carve time out for these practices of contemplation, of the centering practice, bring that daily practice of creating an intention, of setting into this time of listening to our deeper intuition. How beautiful this, and then allowing our imagination to visualize that actually happening. This enables us to be in touch with our purpose, to live our purpose, and then allow the synchronicity, surrender to whatever unfolds in your life. Take each step as it appears, as it comes forth, as it is offered to you. Today is my day. Today is your day. Today, bright with hope and filled with promise, is mine, is yours. Today, my heart is without fear. I turn resolutely to the divine source, which knows no confusion, I turn resolutely to that spiritual center, the source of all that is. I feel the warmth of its presence. And through this quiet contemplation, I learn to look quietly and calmly upon every false condition. Every false condition. I see through it to the other side of the invisible reality that holds, conditions, and recreates all of your affairs after the divine pattern for your life. And so I close today with a poem. This poem is by David White, one of my favorite poets. I have shared his poems before. This is from his book, The Bell and the Blackbird, which is one of my favorites. It's called Twice Blessed. He writes as an introduction to this poem, he said, I allowed myself to be astonished by the great everywhere calling to me. Imagine that you're out in nature, you're walking, and you come upon a body of water, and it is a clear day, and you can see a reflection in the body of water. Twice Blessed by David Voigt. So that I stopped there and looked into the waters, seeing not only my reflected face, but the great sky that framed my lonely figure. And after a moment, I lifted my hands and then my eyes, and I allowed myself to be astonished by the great everywhere calling to me like an old and unspoken invitation made new by the sun. I lifted my hands and then my eyes, and I allowed myself to be astonished by the great everywhere calling to me like an old and unspoken invitation made new by the sun. Made new by the sun and the spring and the cloud and the light, like something both calling to me and radiating from where I stood. As if I could understand everything I had been given and everything ever taken from me. As if I could understand everything that I had been given and everything ever taken from me. As if I could be everywhere I've ever learned and everything I could ever know. As if I know both the way I had come and secretly the way underneath. It was as if I could be everything I have ever learned and everything I could ever know. As if I knew both the way I had come and secretly the way underneath. I was still promised to go. And it was brought together like this, with the unyielding ground and the symmetry of the moving sky caught in still waters. Someone I've been and someone I'm just about to become. Something I am. Will be forever and will be forever. The sheer generosity of being loved through loving. The miracle reflection of a twice blessed life. Someone I've been and someone I am just about to become. Something I am and will be forever. The sheer generosity of being loved through loving. The miracle reflection of a twice blessed life. Namaste, my friends. Go in peace.
Thanks for watching. Join us again next Wednesday for more of On Purpose with Reverend Beth Linguri, only on New Thought Media Network. Learn more at www.ntmedia.org.